But I brought some of my pieces in. Some of them are actually in the presentation. This one was actually in a paper show. And this was actually, I had light shining up on the ceiling and took a picture of it and played around with it. But most of the stuff that I do starts on my phone. So I'll probably go through the slides, and then hopefully if there's time I can plug this in and maybe do something real quick just to show you, my process or whatever.
So Jim, that's just a picture of a ceiling and then you modified it?
Yeah, it was like light shining up on a ceiling. And then I got it printed out. We printed it on paper, and it was then like a little, something different. Let's see. Well, we'll pull the slideshow up here. If you have questions, whatever, feel free to jump in. Comments, hopefully they're good comments. But I'll try to answer anyway. But anyway, so I'm James Tobin, and I'm going to talk about doing some digital art. So about me, so I'm from Beaver County. I've been here now for 25 years. Deb and I first came to Merrick probably not long after we were married. Betty Douglas was down here doing a show. She had art and she was doing music. And Deb and I were like, hey, maybe we could combine forces and try, not that we were ever going to be Betty, but we thought we could take a shot at this. So many years later, we kind of got out there and started doing both. I was always more musician-y, and Deb was always an artist. And we kind of dragged each other into each other's worlds. But my art journey started really when I was a kid, drawing in school books and getting yelled at, or drawing cartoons instead of taking notes, that kind of thing. My mother was an artist, so I didn't realize, like when I went to other people's homes when I was a kid, I was looking around like, where's the paintings that your mother made, because I just thought everybody had that set up. But she did a lot of art. My older sister did a lot of art. I also am co-owner of Tobin Studios in Ambridge. We mostly, it houses all of our art now, but we do some art lessons and guitar lessons and stuff. I had an art teacher in high school that kind of encouraged my abstract side, which was nice. And then, as technology got better, I've had Photoshop for my job for probably 20 years. And when I first had Photoshop, you turn the computer on, you try to click Photoshop, and it would take it 20 minutes to load. So I didn't use it all that much unless I had to, just to do basic photo editing. But as computers got better and better, it's like, now it's like so easy to use. And again, Debbie helped me rekindle my art career. And we've been involved with the art leagues for a number of years now. And for my day job, I work at Carnegie Mellon University. I do video and distance video and photography. And that's about it. So, digital art, what do you consider digital art? Is it just anything that's on a computer? Is it, like when I started with digital art, people were kind of poo-pooed it a little bit, but you can do anything on a computer you can do with a paintbrush. Most of the time there's actually a paintbrush on the computer you can use, so. Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about what you see as the difference between AI and digital art?
Yeah, I've played around with AI a little bit. Sometimes it's creepy. There's a website you can go to. I think it's called boredhumans.com is the one that I go to. But it's AI, and you can type in like, I want a picture of a jogger with a birthday cake, and it'll pop up, and there'll be like this weird guy holding a birthday cake. And it's like very strange. Or you can say flowers in a field, and it'll give you pictures of flowers in a field. I haven't played around with it a lot. Sometimes I'll do it just to play, like, because it's called Bored Humans. If I'm bored, I'll go on there and just kind of see what it's going to do. I've seen some people take the art from like the AI and actually put their own stamp on it and paint over it, or combine it into their thing. But I don't know. It's pretty wild. There's AI songwriting too. Like it'll write the lyrics for you, and a lot of times they don't make sense, but.
How does copyrights fit into all that?
Yeah, AI is very strange. Sometimes it'll tell you, like on the page, it'll be like you have to give them credit, like whatever site you used. They want credit. Sometimes they're like, feel free to use this work. It's completely random. I'm not sure how it gets generated, if it's taking people's art or not. Like some people are saying that it does, but I don't really know. But I don't play around with that too much, other than just to like see what it'll do. I'll make it write a rap song or something just to see what what it comes up with.
But like the difference then between like say digital art and AI, like your hand creating, you're creating your own content, AI tends to be more.
Yeah, AI kind of does its own, like you tell it what you want and it makes it, whereas like the digital art that I do and most people do, it's you're still creating it. It's it's coming from you. You're using, instead of a paintbrush, you're using a little brush on the screen or but I'll talk about that a little bit too. But yeah, I guess digital art, it can be AI, it can be pretty much anything that's digital. This piece here, I think I have it in a slideshow, but this was an acrylic painting I did way back, and then I made it digital. And I really didn't change it too much when I went digital with it, but it's like 2 for 1. But I'll talk about that a little bit. So why do digital? For me, it's no messy cleanup. I'm sitting down on the couch on a Thursday night, I'm tired, I pull my phone out, Deb has a movie on, I'm sort of watching a movie, I might draw on here. I might be at an art meeting, when people are, discussing. I'm still paying attention, but I might start to sketch a little bit, What's that, Deb?
You not listen during a meeting.
Me not listen during a meeting? What? No, I do pay attention, but sometimes I'll start sketching a little bit. I'll show you some of that stuff too. And then the piece that I have here, it's right now it's in the mayor's office in Weirton, West Virginia. They had an art show down there. It was they were asking for digital art. And it was, all about the mill before they tore it down. So like Deb and I drove down and snapped a bunch of pictures, and this is sort of like a combination of some of the photos. I put a little tree in front of it. The tree's actually from our backyard, but try to slip little things in. So where do you start with digital? It could be photography, it can be sketching, you can paint in digital. You can take your existing art and convert it into digital. Warping images, there's one of the guitars over there. That started life as an acrylic, and I was never happy with it. So I put it into digital and kind of gave it that, warped it a bit. It was for a black and white show. And again, you're using all your skills, if you're using your eye to create. So some of the tools that I use, mainly I use Adobe Creative Suite. I get it through work. I'm not sure what they charge for Adobe, but there's a lot of good stuff in there. I've done some stuff with Procreate. A lot of digital artists are using Procreate now. A lot of it starts out on my iPhone camera. I have some different apps that I downloaded on the iPhone too, that like you can take a photograph and do all kinds of crazy stuff to it. Good old-fashioned acrylic paints. I still like to paint with acrylic, and again, sometimes I'll keep it as the painting, and then I'll put it into digital and play around with it. Because if you you don't want to mess up your nice painting, but if you put it in digital, there's a little nice back button you can hit that'll take you out of there. Like, oh, I messed that up. I have pastels on here. Deb brought home all kinds of pastels recently, so we've been experimenting with that. And again, it's the same thing. I did some pastels, and then I kind of went in and played around with the digital. Oh, that was glass. I didn't put that on there. That's like mosaic glass that we were doing. So again, I took it and put it into Photoshop and played around with it. And it's a small thing that I made with the glass, but I can blow it way up now and stuff. So, oh, thank you. This one here, this is just kind of an example, like when I say I sketch on my iPhone. So I think this app is called Adobe Sketch or something, but you can see you can select different sizes for your charcoal. That piece is down the end there. That's how it ended up. But you can see it's real basic there at the beginning. And it's like painting in a lot of ways, because it took a long time to get from the rough part to what it became. But you're sitting there, you got a movie on, you got your phone, there you go. But again, that's just an example of like drawing one. as opposed to because a lot of the ones I do, I might take a photo to begin with, but I still like to do the sketching and stuff. So that's an example there. This one is called Darling Starling. This one's at the show in Carnegie right now with PSA. And it actually started out, I took a little wood burner. We were up at West Hills Art League at Robin Hill. We spent an afternoon up there and people were doing plein air and stuff. I was sat outside, I had a block of wood and a little wood burner thing, and I did the bird. This was actually 3 pieces that I had. Like the bird was on one, the leaves were on one, and the branches were on the other. And then I combined them all digitally. So this made the show. I sold the bird, it was just the bird like on a wood background. That one sold. But it's you can combine things. It's not just saying I'm going to do all this on the computer. You can take something you have already and make something new out of it. This has it's clone stamping. So I took the bridge and tried to make it look larger than it is. Like tried to make it look like a bigger city, even Pittsburgh or whatever. I always like to crank the color levels up when I'm doing that kind of thing. But this started as a photo and warped into that. This piece here, it's fabric mosaic. This was something that Deb got us into for a while. We were in, I forget where we were, maybe Campbell Pottery up north. We were in a fiber show. So, it's fabric mosaic. And then I just made a digital version of it too. Still have them both. I think I have them both printed. Ideas are everywhere. We like Bob's Diner up in Carnegie. There's the beautiful Ukrainian church across the street. So I snapped the picture through the window. And then I did my best to take the vehicles out of the picture and give it more of an old world look there. I think I grabbed the sky behind that, I think was actually from a different location. Put that one in. So your work is to your liking. What are you going to do next? You have all this stuff on your phone or your computer. What do? You have to make a few final adjustments. Some people want to just print the thing out and then it comes out all blurry or it's tiny or whatever. So, you have to make some adjustments. You have to decide what the final piece is going to be printed on. You can see I have kind of a variety. I like to print it on metal a lot, but we do canvas as well. We've done some on acrylic. It all depends on what you like. But anyway, so for adjustments, now I have this on here. There's other ways of doing this. I've been looking up different ways because a lot of people don't have Photoshop. So how do you get it? But in any of these things, you're going to open the image up first. 300 is the magic number. So you want 300 dots per inch or 300 pixels per inch. So you can choose your size. But if you don't select 300, it's going to come out blurry. It'll be like too small when you go to print it. That's our dog on there. I tried to give him a little texture. He loves running around in the snow. So that was actually, that was a couple winters ago. I guess we're gonna have snow this winter. We didn't get much last year. That was a couple years ago when it snowed constantly. He was happy. Now he's getting old, he doesn't really want to go out if it's snowing. But so, I just have it on there. It's image size. You would go in there, you tell it what width you want, what height, but you have to tell it 300. So again, 300 is the magic number. Let's see if this link works. Hey, maybe. Yeah, so I found this website, which it's kind of tricky. I'm usually I'm facing the monitor, but and I can share this, but it's a pretty good website. Like, it shows you how to go in. Like, if you have a Mac computer, you can just open Photos. It's like the preview. When you click on the photo, it comes up. You can just go up into the top and tell it to export, and you can tell it you want that 300 dpi. So you don't have to own Photoshop to do that, because it's kind of a pain. Gotta find my mouse here. Yeah, there we go. This tells you all about DPI and how to do it from a Mac. There's probably a way to do it from a PC, but it's really simple. Like, it's just, you open it, you tell it to export, and you tell it what size you want. And then you don't have to pay for, if your company isn't paying for Photoshop or whatever, you can still do it. There we go. Sorry about that. I'm used to having the monitor in front of me. This was, we were at the Portersville Steam Show on Sunday. And it was kind of like a gray and cold day, but I snapped a picture of the old car there because I just thought it looked kind of timeless sitting there like out with the fence behind it and everything. There's a couple guys back by the shed. But that's just pretty much a straight up a photo, and I just really went in there and pumped the colors up and stuff. I might do more with it, might try to make it look different, but you know, you get ideas everywhere. Let's see here.
300, you don't want to go higher than 300? Does that make it too hard to do things with later? Or?
I was always just told 300 is the way to go, yeah. Like, I don't think you want, I'm not sure it'll let you go higher.
Well, you can, but if the printer only prints out at 300, there's no need.
That's it, yeah.
Fix it.
It's not gonna make it any better. It's like your TV with the 4K. There's 8K, but your TV your TV won't be impressed. So, you know, here's a piece here. This printing option, this was printed on metal. This was in the show here. I got a nice ribbon. Looking pretty happy that day. That was a day we went out and did plein air. We went to Raccoon State Park. It was about, I don't know, it felt like it was 10 degrees. We were all freezing. Deb had her easel, and I think another friend was there. They were painting. I was walking all around snapping pictures of everything. And when I got home and thawed out, I pulled out my phone and started playing around. This was actually done in Photoshop. There's different layers you can put on it, so I went for paper. So it has like a paper layer on it.
Is that mirror image?
It was actually just that pretty that day. I think I pumped it up a little bit so the water stood out more than it did originally, but it was that kind of day. The water was really still. And I may have smoothed it out a little bit, like, you know, you don't really see any like current there or anything.
So is paper like a filter? What is that?
Yeah, like the paper filter, it'll, you know, you open your photo in there, you hit the paper filter, there's a bunch of different options, but it looks like paper then.
So almost like a work on paper then? Is that
Yeah, like you can sort of see like how it's like yellowed around it and stuff.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, there's other ones that makes it look like you crush the paper. Like there's all kinds of,
Texture.
yeah, it adds texture and stuff to it. So yeah, that was mainly that one. It was just covering, you know, playing around. You know, so that's printing on metal. Let's see, am I going the right way? No, I'm going the wrong way. Go back. You know, if you have something small, as long as you're in that 300 DPI, if you have a decent printer at home and you're not making a big, you know, if you're making something the size of your paper, which in this case, we had these frames and there was a coffee show somewhere, so played around, added some coffee beans into the frame. I think I sold this piece too. It was at the Moon Chamber for a while. Who doesn't like coffee, you know? But that was just printed up on our home printer. So, you know, nothing fancy other than the frame.
So how do you get it from printing off of the printer? How do you get it on your canvas or your metal?
Yeah, I'll get to that. We farmed that part out. Like this is actually just a piece of paper shoved in the frame, but yeah. That's coming up. There we are. So printing, good question, because there it is. You know, I've used Costco, Walgreens, Sam Clubs, Walmart. I wouldn't recommend Walmart. They struggle a bit. They do a nice job. It just takes longer. There's online companies that do it. It really depends on how fast you need it and your budget. You know, because it's and pretty much any of those drugstores that'll print stuff, you can get stuff printed. But Walgreens has done pretty well. You just have to watch, like sometimes like you'll get the frame will be plastic, and if you have to do like gallery wire, it's, you know, it can be tricky trying to get screws into the plastic or whatever. You know, just go on Google, like say, hey, I got this really cool picture. I have my 300 DPI. I want to print the metal. I would just, you know, type that into Google or stop by your local Costco. I see more and more, like when we're at shows, like when I first started printing on metal, I was like, I'm unique. And now I'm like, oh, he wants the Costco. Oh, you want the Walgreens. I can tell that's a Walgreens. But it's still cool. I mean, you know, and again, it's your individuality that's still coming through on it. But
How can you tell if it's Walgreens or Walmart?
Oh, Walgreens, let's see, do we have a Walgreens? Yeah, here's Walgreens here. I could actually just show you real quick. So Walgreens is quicker and maybe a little less expensive, but Walgreens kind of, it's a little thinner in the way the hanging thing on the back is, which we've had pretty, you can see it's not super elaborate, but.
Do they do that baggy thing, or do you?
Well, we did the wire. They give you like the wood, like little squares on there. Actually, Debbie does the wiring. I'm sloppy with trying to get those screws in there and stuff. But yeah, let's see if we have a Costco. Costco's maybe a little bit thicker.
There.
Yeah, there's a Costco here too. They give you like more of a frame around it. But again, it's tricky. You have to get the wire on there for that. There's, you can get deals. I always think like you got to really like your piece before you get it printed on metal, before you fork out the money, unless you're getting a good deal.
How much does it cost?
Really, it depends on the size, and if you're getting a decent deal. Like sometimes Walgreens will hook you up. I would recommend try small first. If you do something digital and you like it, take it to Walgreens or whatever. Try it out. Looks good there.
It's nice when you're uploading the images, they'll tell you if it's too low resolution, so then you'll know that you have to bump it up.
Yeah.
To make it bigger?
Hopefully not wasting your money and you don't get something.
Yeah, if it's blurry on there, it's too blurry. But yeah, they will tell you. And again, mostly that's getting that 300 DPI. So I was printing on metal.
Jim,
Yeah.
the 300 DPI, you can't go to any size you want because it could get blurry if you got it too big.
It could.
Digital, when you're enlarging to that 300 PPI, to say like from a 16 by 20 to a 24 by 36, it will usually interpolate to a certain amount of a size. Now, it's not gonna, if it's real tiny and then you're going huge, it'll go blurry.
Yeah, like if you.
Level where the computer will do the work for it.
Yeah, if you started with something like I shouldn't say postage stamp, but if you start with something really small, yeah, you're only going to be able to blow it up to a certain.
That large picture, the one that was from Walgreens, that started out as 300 DPI on your computer.
Yep.
300 DPI at 20 by 30.
Okay.
Yeah, you tell it that when you're saving it. I'll just bounce back here real quick. When you're saving it, like you could tell it like this says 20 by 16 here, and you can tell it to kind of like automatically keep it so it's in the right, so you don't get like a weird shape. But yeah, you tell it 20 by 16. The other way you can usually tell, like you can give it the eye test, like you can kind of see the dog here has texture. Like if he was too low res, it would look blurry even there. Or we'll even do stuff like, pull it up on the phone and you can almost give it the eyeball test, like blow it up. And if it starts looking blurry when you blow it up there even. Yeah, it depends on what you're starting with, really. There's another metal example. That's the one there. I had this printed on a couple different things. This was actually a larger, it was the same piece, but it was larger. And it got into the Pittsburgh Arts Festival and sold, which I was really happy because I didn't have to drive up there and park in downtown Pittsburgh, which was really nice. I mean, the money was nice too, obviously, but printing it on metal, and you can kind of see it on there too. Like I was going for like a stained glass look, and it's kind of based on a stained glass that was in my parents' house growing up, and it worked out. I don't know if it would have been as effective on canvas, they just getting that sheen on there and stuff. So that's the metal. Then we have canvas. So again, you can go to any of these places. They'll print it out on a nice canvas for you, put it in a frame, or you can just get it done on canvas. And again, it all depends on your budget or if they have any deals.
The ink that they put on the canvas, if you wanted to put like a varnish over it to make it shinier, would that work? Is it, or like, it won't like dissolve ink or?
I don't think it would. I haven't tried that.
It's dye sublimation printing.
Yeah.
So you probably have to test different things on it to see, because we're not supposed to put water on them or anything to like wipe them down. So I would think if they discourage water, then or cleaning products, that might
it might fry it out.
Might be too hard on it.
So have you ever added any type of a fixer to it? Like any type of a spray?
I haven't yet. I have a.
I put on like a gloss.
Yeah, Linda does a lot of digital.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paint it on or spray it?
Yeah, I have a piece. I was talking about the 300 DPI. This was early on when I was doing this. It came out really cool. It was we were at McConnell's Mill, the rock formation. I snapped a picture of it. We were out at a coffee house that night. I decided to sketch like a mountain lion in on it. It looked really cool. And I had this app that I downloaded that made it look like mosaic. And I thought, this thing's dynamite. Send it out to print. It comes back all blurry because I didn't have the right resolution. But you guys made me think of that. But I am planning on at some point actually just taking paint and just kind of sharpening it, because it's there. It's just blurry. Yeah, it's kind of like all there waiting for me to fix it up.
That's something that some digital artists do. They'll print it out on canvas and then do an overpainting on it.
Yeah, which I guess you could call that mixed media. But I haven't done much of that yet. I've done more. I've combined different ones together. But yeah, I mean, you could just paint right on there. Canvas is a canvas. Yeah, I have in here about the plastic frames. That can be a problem. The frame canvas travels a little more easily than the metal. I've had the metal pieces get dropped. Like, they don't take a fall really well, the metal pieces. They will dent. FedEx shipped me one. It was like folded when we got it. It's like, I'm not sure what I did with that. It's somewhere. I was gonna try and like bend it back out or do something with it, but yeah, make a sculpture, make it 3D.
Do all the pieces on the metal look all shiny?
Yeah, they'll come back glossy like that.
You can't determine whether you want a matte finish or semi.
You can with the canvas. Like when we farm these out, you can, but the metal, they just come back glossy.
Different companies will have different looks too. Because I think, is it Walgreens that has more of a reflective background and they almost glow?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
metallic comes through a lot more.
Walgreens really shows the metal, like it's almost transparent, some of the ink. That one's not really, but a lot of the ones we get back are. Yeah, and that could be a thing too, if you're deciding what you're gonna print them out on, because, you might want it to be matte,
And there's probably different companies out there, if you look at them, that would have a finishing process that would give you that. We just haven't come across it.
Yeah.
Is that aluminum?
Yeah, I think Walgreens is more aluminum, yeah.
So do they ever use like recycled aluminum for these things?
They don't really tell you what they're using. I imagine it's probably, it could be recycled.
I was trying to think, which company that they, like Costco and Sam's use, is it Kodak? Is the base company?
I think, yeah, because you give it to them and then they farm it out to somebody else to print it and, probably charge you an arm and a leg extra, but. Yeah, and this example here, the photo there, that's a canvas thing we did. I believe that's at a restaurant that doesn't exist anymore. They let us put their art in. It was really nice of them.
Bank.
Oh, that's the bank. Yeah, that's gone too. It was the Swickley Credit Union. We had a few installations there. It's nice. Even tonight, it's nice to have the stuff out of the studio, get it out into the world. The other thing with digital, I was actually here one night and you guys had a model, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? Well, the first thing, if you're gonna do digital of a human, you have to get permission. So that was the first thing I did. But there she is. There's Jenny. I don't know how many years ago that was.
That's the first ballerina that we had.
Yeah, and she did all, so that's every pose, well, maybe not every pose. That's like all the different poses she did, and I just kind of lined her up together, which took a while on Photoshop. And the interesting thing with this, you know, because I got their permission to do it, and I said, hey, I'll share this stuff with you. So I sent it to the family, and then probably like maybe 3 years later, she was engaged to a guy in the Army, and they asked me, I printed one out for them, like on metal, and they shipped it to him, which, you know, was kind of cool. But she's still out there. But again, you know, initially, you know, this one I blurred her out more, you know, because I'm like, I don't want anyone to identify this person if I put it out there. So she's kind of blurred. The other one, that was made for the fiance, so it was okay to kind of. But it was fun, you know. It's just that one took a while. That was just kind of like superimposing her multiple times in there. It can take a while.
And then you need to make, you did perspective, but on the left you made her go smaller going back, I think.
Yeah.
It looked more natural that way.
Yeah. I had her like getting smaller as she went away. Yeah. I had one. I don't have it in a slide deck, but I took a picture of the building across the road over there. She was like a giant standing next to it. Like I had a whole series of, but that was kind of cool. You know, they ended up buying it. You know, and again, if you get some digital skills down, you know, it can make it easier to enter. A lot of these shows are online now. You know, you don't go drop your piece off. So, you know, you want to get want to get the best image you can to enter the show. You know, there's things online like Camelback Gallery. They're always doing calls for artists. You know, they'll pick a theme. It'll be like, you know, colors of fall or whatever. You know, so, you know, I have my digital stuff. I like entering their stuff. You know, and it's people from all over the planet entering it, which is really cool. So yeah, getting your good image. You know, and the other thing, you know, ideas are everywhere. You know, I can't take every guitar that I like home, so I take pictures. Sure I can. The blue one here, we saw it maybe 10 years ago at a guitar show, and we didn't buy it. And then last year we were at a guitar show, and there it was again. So Deb, being a great negotiator, went up to the guy and went, "You've had this thing for 10 years. Give me a deal." I just kind of walked away like, like trying not to act interested. Because a lot of times I blow that because I'll be like, "I want it," you know. But she negotiated it. So the blue one came home eventually. But yeah, you know, you're out and about, see something interesting, snap a photo, take it home, draw on it, play around with it. There we go. You know, ideas are everywhere. This one here, we were at an art show up in Arlington, and I took that picture out of the window, but I didn't want the golf station in there. So I did a lot of like, I took one of the houses and kind of, I'll show you, there's probably be time, but I cloned the little house a bunch of times to kind of get rid of the golf station. Try to give it more like an old-timey look. You know, and then here, you know, you can't legally take that classic car home. Sure you can. This one got honorable mention here in 2020. It was sad though, it was all online that year. But anyway, and the other one is a Jeep that I really wanted the guy to sell me and he wouldn't, but I took some photos of it. And then that's actually our backyard. I have it driving on. It was just sitting in a plain old parking lot, but there was a little tricky there getting, like, I had to take the window out so that you could see like the leaves and stuff behind it. Because otherwise it would have been like the view of the parking lot. A little bit of a pain. You know, and you're doing your art, you know, when I started doing digital, I was worried, like, you know, kind of like with AI too, like, is it still going to be me? Is it going to be my art? But I found that my style or whatever is carried over into it. And then that's at the Southern Alleghenies Museum of Art, Loretto. We drove down there last winter, and it was a nice show. It's around here somewhere. I think it's over here. But that was that started life. I was mowing the lawn, and it was getting late, and I just thought the light, the way it was hitting the dandelions there, really looked cool. So snapped a photo and kept playing around with it. Go in the house, put Netflix on, pull out the phone, start working. You know, and here, you know, these are just a couple of places, you know, like preserve your memory. This was my grandparents' house in McKees Rocks that has since been torn down. It was in pretty bad shape when I took the picture there, but I tried to cheer it up, you know, made it look kind of warm and fuzzy. You know, if you've been to parts of McKees Rocks, it's not very warm and fuzzy. The other one is an old mill that's gone. And then this was a shed up at Edinburgh Lake, which has since been torn down as well. But all I did here, it's just a photo, and you know, you drop that filter on it. I just want red, so it kept the red and got rid of everything else. That piece ended up selling. It's in somebody's dining room. I can't remember who, maybe Deb's cousin or a friend of her cousin. And then I used that same shot to get I superimposed our band onto it. Like, we didn't drag them all up to Edinburgh to take their picture by the shed there, but took a picture of us at a gig and just kind of stuck it on there, and it worked out. This one here, I think this was actually in Camelback. I got a little, you know, the online show. It got a finalist award. This was just a poor busted up old car that was out by Raccoon State Park a couple summers ago. And I went around and just took a bunch of pictures, different angles, and kind of combined them together. And it's fun when you get home to do that kind of stuff. And here's our window again. So how are we doing on time? Is everybody good? You want to take a little break?
You guys want to stand up and do this bridge, or are you okay?
I can keep going. I can get us out early. No, I'm just kidding. No, let me know if you do need a break. But there's just that one again. That one, you know, again, I thought it looked good digitally, but when it printed out on the metal, it really kind of got shiny and stuff. Here's another example. So this is sketching. Where's that one at? Oh yeah. I brought that one out. But you could see, like, it started out. I put my background in, and then I started drawing all the trees and the fence, and I thought it looked horrible. And then, I don't know, hours later, I got the final piece. And a lot of that, it was weird. Like, there's a tool, it's like a swelling tool. So you can make the stuff blow up bigger or make it look smaller. So a lot of those lines I felt were like too fat. So I started going in there with the swelling tool and kind of making them smaller and warping them more. And it kind of ended up that way.
Can we go back to the last one?
Sure.
Now, this one looks a little bit more, has more red in it to me. When they print it on metal, does it come out a little bit different color-wise?
Yeah, it may have that, because that's a Walgreens there. That a lot of the times the metal shows through more, so I think that's probably why it's less red. It'll look differently too on different displays, but this might actually be an earlier version of the thing too. But I'm pretty sure it's just the way it printed on that. Because the one that sold, I think, looked more like this. It had more of the red in it.
So do you have to do anything to compensate for how it comes out when it gets printed?
There's not a lot you can do. Once you send it to them, it's how it's going to come out. And again, it depends on the company. You get what you pay for. I mean, I'm happy with that piece, but when I got it printed out larger from Costco, I think it looked a little sharper maybe. But that's the other thing. Hopefully you sell your piece and you work that into your, you're working your time into there. You have to work that into the cost too. If you're selling if I get it for $50 at Walgreens, I can charge a little less maybe. But yeah.
Jim, the piece on the bottom, is that on metal or is that on something else behind the glass?
That's on metal. That was actually a piece, it got damaged at one of the shows it was in, but it was barely noticeable, so we framed it to kind of hide, like around the one edge got nicked when it fell. So we put a little bit of clear stuff just to keep the paint from chipping off more, and then we framed it. That's
Sign your digital artwork
sometimes I will.
on the front?
I don't do it that often. Sometimes I get asked to do it, like if I sell a piece, they'll want a signature, and it's
Signs it on the back.
yeah. Usually I'll sign it on the back.
I just wondered if they print it when you sign it.
Yeah, they will print it.
When they print your signature.
Yeah, there's a guy named, Dwayne Kakali. Like, he has his signature, like, it's on there, like, it has, he just has it as an image, I think, and just pops it on there in the corner. But yeah, I'll usually sign the back. If I'm selling one for a lot of money, I'll put a number on the back of it, too. So somebody doesn't go, hey, I bought your Jeep, and now I see someone else bought your Jeep, but you have Jeep number 2. You have the second.
Just like photo prints.
Yeah, kind of like photo prints and stuff.
Do you do, I missed this, did you limited edition? Do you like say, I'm only gonna print X amount, and then, because that's what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
1 of 10 or 1 of 20.
Yeah, I haven't done much of that because I don't sell that many, but I probably would if say something like really took off. And a lot of times I'll sell a piece and I might not print it again. I'll be like, well, that's sold, which is kind of dumb because I have them sitting there digitally, but I'm like, well, that one's sold. I should be cranking them out and trying to mass produce them, but I don't usually do that. Let's see here. Yeah, and the other thing, you can create worlds. Deb and I like to hop in the Jeep and drive all over the place and take pictures of everything. I'm probably obnoxious about it on the Facebook, but I can go in and look at pictures when I'm bored. But, so here's some railroad tracks. Here's Zoar, Ohio. Zoar is kind of a cool place. It's kind of like they were an offshoot of the Economites in Ambridge, but they didn't buy into the whole we're not going to have kids or anything. So they went their own way. But it's a really neat old town. It's not a super far drive. But this was across the road there. This was the old Zoar Hotel, which sadly is not open. It would have looked like it would have been cool to check out. But so I took these two, and we were at an art meeting, and I combined it. But I ended up with this, which I did some of this on the computer too. But if you look closely, you can see there's the hotel. I put like the hotel on either side of the tracks, going down the middle. Really played around with the color. I think I put a star, I think that's an overlay, the stars. But it came out pretty good, and it ended up at the Erie Museum, and it ended up selling. We got that one printed really large. And I remember we went to the opening reception, and the people serving the drinks wanted to buy it. So I thought, all right, I'm doing good here. This guy walking by is like, because Deb's taking my picture, and he's talking about it, and I was like, thank you. He's like, oh, you did this? So I was like, okay, we got a good one here. Because you don't know, it's the same when you're doing a painting. You don't know if you like it. You don't know if anyone else is going to like it. I want to go back to Zoar and get more pictures next time. But it's a really neat place. They go. It's smaller than Old Economy, but it's very similar. And these people knew that their thing was going to last about 80 years, and then what's that? 100 years, yeah. I always thought it was wild, Old Economy, the last guy left, took all the money and went and did Broadway shows. It's like, that's not how you would have expected them to, the last guy, and he's like, I'm going to Broadway, baby. Sometimes this is just one, this one, I think I won something up in Butler with this, it's just a photo, a little sunflower in our yard. Took everything out but the yellow, and I think I made it took up the black level a lot. Printed it on metal. This one here was in the show here once, or was that the show that we did here, Deb? But anyway, this one's sold from Merrick. There was a car show going on outside, and a gentleman came in and saw the Jeep and bought the picture, which I thought was really cool. And again, you could see we were up in Butler. That's one of the original Jeeps that was made in Butler, PA, Bantam, and they lost the final bid for the military because Ford was their competitor. Ford could crank them out faster, so Ford won. But it was designed here in Pennsylvania. So I took that picture in a hurry, and I got home and I wanted to do something with it, but goofy me, I cut the tire off at the bottom. That's cropped out. So I had to fake the bottom of the tire using clone stamping and all kinds of stuff, and then stuck a sky in there behind it, and I tried to make the garage floor look like it was outside somewhere. So it took a while, added some color to it, but That's one of my favorites because I like Jeeps. But yeah, that's sold out of here. Okay, well, this is the presentation part. These guys used to hang at the top of the stairs, and every time I came here, I would take my picture and put it on Facebook, you know, and people are like, are they your parents? I'm like, I wish. I have probably, I don't know how many pictures. The last time I tried to do this, it's in the office downstairs now, and I walked in there to try and take a selfie with it, and I think I set an alarm off, so I don't take pictures with that anymore.
That clone stamping, do you have to purchase those programs?
I believe so, yeah. I use, again, I have Adobe, so it's part of like Adobe Photoshop. They have the clone stamping. I enjoy that a lot. I enjoy the warping a lot. I can hook my phone up and show you a little bit of that.
The photo down there, the sunset or sunrise.
Yeah, that was sunrise. That's Madison, Wisconsin. We were out on a dock fishing. We were there for a work conference, but I snuck out and went fishing and mainly took the picture and really just played around with it to make it look less like a photograph. But it started out as a photo. Tried to get my perspective in there. I got the fishing rod kind of pointing, you know, like all your artist stuff that's in there. You can use in the digital. Let's see if this is going to work. Hey, there's my dog. All right, nobody look at my face. No, there's nothing on here. Hey, there we are. Do that. Well, anyway. Yeah, so I have on here, and I think you can buy these things like separately too. So the one app on here, it's called Photoshop Express. So there's your Photoshop Express. You know, you go in there, you tell it you want to use the photo editor. I guess we would look for a photo we would want to use. We were up at, where were we last night, Deb? The Frick.
The Frick.
So we were at the Frick, and I felt like this painting was staring at me. So, yeah, I kind of went in and made her eyes bug out. It was a really nice opening. Deb kept getting called away, and I was just kind of hovering around awkwardly in the corner. They have velvet wallpaper, and I wasn't sure it was velvet. I had to feel it. So I touched it, and this guy came out of nowhere. I was like, "Don't touch that!" And I was like, "Oh, sorry." But then after that, I decided to stick to myself, and you know, I started playing around with the. There she is before. See, this is before, and this is when I touched the wallpaper. This is what happened. Yeah. At least it's her eyeballs, Tom, right? Yeah. But anyway, you know, you can go in, so I just opened the editor up and try and find a decent picture here. I play around a lot. You know, I made one the other day, so you have Lenny Kravitz, and I'm like, well, you know, I don't know, you probably have to be a certain age to remember Lenny and Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley, but I'm like, if Lenny Kravitz exists, so does Squiggy Kravitz. So, you know, I was playing around on Photoshop. I made a Squiggy Kravitz and a Lenny Kravitz, and you know, I put these jewels up on Facebook and get, you know, 5s of likes. But yeah, so here's the car that I had in the presentation. This was kind of after playing with it on here. Let's see if there's an original picture of it to keep going. So you can see I take a lot of pictures. And I do a lot of doodling and different things.
Why don't you do something with the truck instead?
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. So here's a nice old truck. You know, you can go on here, make adjustments. We'll say I want the subject, so I'm going to go into the subject first. Maybe I want to give it more contrast, maybe less contrast. I used to be into more contrast. Now I'm into less contrast. You can take the highlights up, take them down. I usually I do this most of the time when I'm doing photography anyway. I go into the background and I'll go over and play around with like clarity, you know. Oops. Am I still in clarity? Yeah. Kind of blur out the background a little bit. You know, maybe take texture out of it. Make your subject stand out a little bit. take the color out. You know, you can play around, you know, and again, you get a good Netflix movie on, you know, maybe a light comedy that you don't have to pay a lot of attention to. You know, you can sit on the couch for hours doing this kind of stuff. So yeah, we took the color out. We'll go back to the subject. Maybe we want the subject to be, we'll make it more colorful. You know, and a lot of times I'll do something like this. Save the photo. There we go. So that should be in my photos now. Yep. Then, you know, maybe I want to, let's see, where do we want to add it? Where do we want to put a truck? Let's see. We'll go here. We'll put a little truck in here. So, you know, there's different apps. So I have Photoshop Mix is a really cool one. Although they hit me with this ad, like I pay for this and they give me an ad every time. And then you have to hit the X a bunch of times to get it to. There's the nice little happy girls. Yeah, so you can see on there's where Squeaky Kravitz came from. He was in Photoshop Mix. But it's kind of cool, you know, you can just take your images. So I don't know if we really want to put the truck in with the sheep, but what the hey. You know, there we are. Maybe I'm going to add the truck in there. Resize canvas. So a lot of times if you have different resolutions and stuff, I usually don't resize the canvas. But it's pretty cool. You can just say background. Sometimes it's smart enough to figure it out. Like if I hit auto here, yeah, it did pretty well there. There we are. That little rooster.
Phone for all your photographs, or do you have a more high-tech camera?
I do my phone most of the time. No, this is like the latest. I don't know what the number is. It's like the latest, greatest iPhone, but it has a nice camera on it. Like, it doesn't always get a great shot. Like, it doesn't like if low light is still kind of its Achilles heel, but you can get some really nice pictures. You know, it'll look like a 35 millimeter. You know, and if you were going to go crazy on this, you might be like, oh, this red truck's here. I don't want this. I'm going to cut that out. Take him out of there.
If you were at home, would you be doing this on a computer rather than on your phone?
I do most of it on my phone still. I'll tell you when I use the computer is when I want to get to that 300 DPI, because there's nothing on. I can tell it to save at high quality on here, but it won't. It doesn't let me specifically. Yeah, so we have a truck. We can just put that there. Oh, where's our? Okay, yeah, we don't want to. We can just we put her in the back of the truck or something. But you know, you can do all kinds of stuff with that. You know, you can go in there. You can duplicate. You know, that's kind of what I did with the ballerina. You know, started multiplying her, putting her different sizes. You know, maybe I want a different background. You can go all through your photos here. Let's see. Oh, maybe we'll put the truck on the highway here. So we were driving into work. Was that yesterday? Yeah. Tuesday. Yeah, there was a vehicle driving down the highway. They were hauling the largest pumpkins we've ever seen, like on the back of the trailer there, which was pretty wild. You know, but you can say, oh, I want that as my background. I'm going to put the truck next to him or something, you know, blow this guy up a little bit.
That's good.
Put the truck down here. Maybe he's in the lane next to us. But again, there's tons of different apps that you can use. You can go, and a lot of them, they're not that expensive. I like, obviously, I think Photoshop Express, you can buy just that app, and you can do a lot with it. Like this Photoshop Mix and this. And you can do all of this on the computer with regular Photoshop too, like the clone stamping and like cutting out different pieces and doing all that. I like to, you know, like when we are home, I like to just chill out on the couch a lot, and I'll spend my evening. People are like, how do you waste all that time watching TV? And I'm like, well, I'm not really watching, you know, playing around.
So, you have the professional version of Photoshop? I mean, are there different versions, like different price levels that do different things, or?
Yeah, well, yeah, there's like Adobe Creative Suite, which is like everything. So you can make posters, you can do audio. I think you can just buy the Photoshop part of it. There's Photoshop Express. There's a couple different Photoshop ones you can buy. But most of them will let you do that kind of stuff, like, you know, with the overlays and all that sort of thing. Let's see.
One of the things that I'd like to try to do would be to combine a bunch of objects into a still life, but often when you do that, it's not photographed all at once. The lighting is different for each object. Is there a way you could like change the lighting so that it comes from one direction on all objects in Photoshop?
Yeah, you could do it individually, like say, okay, I want my light to come from the left. You can play around with that. There's like a light tool that you can use. There's also, let's see if I can do it on here. You know, you could try overlays. Overlays don't always work, but like they have different, you know, they have light leaks. Like this is a little bit extreme here, but you can kind of have light coming in from different. This looks like they're beaming the guy out, but you know, but you might combine your elements and then throw a filter over it like that. That's a good way to get rid of stuff in the background. There's a smiley face. Some of them are pretty hokey on here. Some of them are really cool. I did one, I didn't even realize it. We were doing plein air, and it was at this farm, and I got this picture of this old barn. It was a beautiful day, but I wanted it to look like it wasn't a beautiful day, so I like took all the color out, made it gray, and I found this overlay and put it on there. And I didn't realize until I printed it there were bats flying around. I was like, wow, that's so hokey, but it actually looked cool on the piece, you know. But yeah, there's, you know, again, and this is just like basic Photoshop. You know, some of them, you know, we can put it in outer space, you know. Here's paper. Whoops, I lost paper. Yeah.
Jenny, I was thinking, Kim Whitecollar and I were talking about this. Sometimes we use these tools to create compositions that you might want to ultimately not be a digital piece even, but like, you know, in kind of tandem with what you were saying about changing lighting, all that. These tools are a great way to figure it all out, color, positions, you know, and then use that as your, you know, whatever.
Yeah, and you know, it's just go in there and play. I know one person I spoke to years ago, she got really into it. I mean, she still does her paintings, but she makes some really wild digital stuff now. You know, she's like, wait, that's all it is? I'm like, yeah, you can just go on your phone. So, you know, play around with it. It's just like, you know, opening a thing of pastels or, you know, trying out different stuff. Trying to find another picture we can use here. So Deb and I were at a thing at the Portersville there. They had a little Hank Williams guy. I just happened to be wearing a black hat because it was rainy. So that's my mini me right there. But some of the other ones that I use, let's see if I can find them here. Here's an app. It's called Glaze, which it's not that expensive. I forget. It was like 20 bucks or something. But you can go into here and do all kinds of like, see how it kind of like warped it. Again, that's taking your photo kind of out of, some of them are kind of hokey. But you know, you can go in there and do all sorts of, you know, it's just taking a standard photo and just really, you know, going abstract. Or sometimes I'll have something that, you know, I want it to look a little bit more like a painting. So like, I like this setting a lot. It just gives it texture. You know, it's a photograph, but now it looks, you know, it's got a nice texture to it. I usually don't go for the, you know, the really abstract, like, you know, it's kind of blurry or whatever, but whatever floats your boat. You know, and then on this one, it's real simple. It actually gives you the measurements. So it's saying the source is 4032 by 3024, you know. I'll tell it to save it as a large, which is 4096 by 3072, which is usually big enough that I can put that into Photoshop and then tell it I want my 300 DPI and I can get a decent print out of it. So let's see, we'll do that. Save that to the gallery. So now it's in my photos. The other thing on your iPhone, I guess, the iPhone itself has some editing. So like on here, I'm just going up in the corner. Like I can tell what I want to do in Photoshop too, but this is just the editing tool that comes with the iPhone. So you know, you can scroll through here. There's all the different, you know, there's brightness. I love saturation. I always crank the colors up. Vibrance. You can make it, you know, cold, warm. Black point. So I'll go in there and play with that a lot too. Or a lot of times I'll take my sketch or whatever that I made and I'll put it just save it as a photo. Just go into the tool that came with the phone and you can do all kinds of stuff. You can crop it, straighten it, make it, you know. Let's see here. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff. And again, that's free. Just being able to take a photo and blast the color up like that. You know, I could take this, then I would dump it into Photoshop, or use the other way on your Mac here. I haven't done the thing on the Mac like it said, so, but they claim, whoops, I'll put it on this screen instead of up there. But I opened this picture here, whoops, come on. It's not gonna let me do it. So we have to get, hold on. It's because my phone's plugged in. Because I'm not plugged in. But you can just go on your computer here in the preview mode. We'll just try that real quick. I haven't done it yet. I found that website the other day. We'll give it a second here. There we are. So I have that opened in preview. Let's take my mouse up here. I might have to tilt this for a second. There's the mouse. But you can save that. You can do that. It's not showing me the top of the screen is cut off here, but it's telling you that you can just go into that and say export as and get your 300 DPI. Which I was going to try and do there, but it's just not quite lined up on the monitor the way it should be. But
What do you mean it's in preview?
when you like on the Mac here, when I click the picture and it opens it, it's just previewing the photo. It's just that, and you go up in that top left-hand corner and you make it pop down and tell it to export. That's probably the easy way to get your 300 DPI without having to buy Photoshop and stuff.
The idea is to get the highest quality picture when you take a photo, and then you turn it into DPI once you're working.
Yeah, you don't want to start out with something that's bad to begin with.
Yeah, it has to be as good as you can get at the beginning.
I've seen people take, like they try to do the AI, they grab AI off of online, and it's a postage stamp. You know, you just can't do anything with it. Yeah, there's our pumpkin truck. But yeah, you know, you can do all kinds of stuff. Let's see here. Let's see if I can find more apps on here. My phone's a bit disorganized, as Deb has reminded me a few times. I try to have all my art apps in the same spot. But there's a lot of stuff on there that, you know, it's not expensive. Like that last one where you can kind of make it, give it the different textures and stuff. I think it was like $30. And it's useful. Again, you have to have something to put into it to begin with, but you can really play around.
Do you have to have a laptop? Because I just have an iPad.
I think you could do it on an iPad.
I mean, that preview, I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, like exporting it at 300 DPI.
Linda works on an iPad all the time.
Do you?
Yeah, she does a lot of digital.
Okay.
That's what she uses, the laptop or iPad and Procreate.
Yeah, she uses Procreate a lot, which iPad. Okay, and, you know, and actually, I don't have it up on the screen there. I just went on to Google and typed in how to export images at 300 DPI on an iPad, and there's websites that show you how to do it. So you can. a lot of people, like what I was just doing here with the photos and stuff, I'm sitting here with this little phone. A lot of people probably prefer an iPad.
With the stylus.
Yeah, and I've done that too. Because you have that, if you have that stylus, it looks like an eraser and you can draw. Like you can open up these sketching things and you can get pretty elaborate. Probably better than a phone. Phone is good if you're on the couch watching Netflix though. If you're nearsighted like me, you have your glasses down and you're, yeah, and there's a lot of different ones. Some of them are pretty sketchy, like this is cartoon yourself. There you go. We'll cartoon the truck. Keep current selection. Apply cartoon effect. There you go. Turned it into a cartoon. That's actually not too bad. But again, you have to be careful. I haven't used this app that much, but I'm not sure it's going to give me 300 DPI. But,
Do you sometimes use a stylus? Like
Yeah.
when you're doing the drawings?
Yeah, the things that were in the slideshow, that piece down the end there, it's like the tree with the blue sky behind it. I did that with the stylus. That was on an iPad with the stylus. You can kind of see, like I was kind of like almost like when I do acrylic, I like to use a knife. So I was kind of doing that kind of stuff. What's that?
At the end there too, using with the stylus, right?
Yeah, that stylus down the end. The background is a stylus, yeah. That was when the pandemic was ending and we had to go back to work. So you can see like the city's kind of scary looking, like we weren't ready when we went back. But it all worked out great.
So you have it sounds like you often have a concept of what, like the idea behind it.
Yeah. I usually go in like, okay, I want to do this, or it might just be driving down the road. Hey, look at that. Take a picture of it. You would do the same thing if you were going to make a painting. You might be out somewhere pretty and take a picture. Yeah, this one here is kind of. Okay, we'll get rid of that. Well, that's cartoon yourself. Let's see here. But yeah, there's a bunch. And it's just go in the App Store, download, search for like art. There's all kinds of different tools you can get. You might get a trial version first and see if you like it or not. But yeah, see, I have them scattered all over the place because I have the Adobe suite. So Adobe, like, they give you, it's almost too many things. There's like Premiere Rush. There's one where you can make a poster or you can make an illustrated, like make your painting kind of come alive.
Do you print out your creation before you send them out to get printed on your own computer? Printer?
Yeah, usually we'll just look at it on here, but we've printed it on a paper just to look at it. Funny one recently, we're doing one for a friend of ours that's in the Jeep Club. His wife has this cool Jeep. She drives, does all kinds of crazy stuff in it. Because we still drive ours to work, we don't. But I took a picture of her in the Jeep, and her husband was like, can you do one of your art things with it? And I was like, yeah, sure. But then I ended up with, I didn't realize it until, if I hadn't printed it and looked at it before I sent it in, it had these two random guys' faces in there in the background because I didn't see them. I had them on this little tiny screen. And then I printed it and I'm like, those two gentlemen should not be in this picture. That would have ruined the whole thing.
But you can take them out.
Yeah, well, I was ready to print it. Yeah, here's another app here. This is a picture of the band. I like to make little promo posters for us. Network error, boo. But that's just a photo that started out, and you can put these different, maybe we want to gray it or recolor. Look at this ad. She's like, you want to activate this? Now we have kittens. So obviously I didn't pay for this app, so I can only do so much. Oops.
So these apps, you have to have internet connection.
Once you have it loaded on your phone, most of them will work without it. It's just getting them downloaded.
So it's using up a lot of memory.
Yeah, it will. That's one thing. Deb and I go and buy these phones every few years because they keep getting more memory in them, because it will fill up. I'm a music buff, so I have a ton of music on here too, which eats up a lot of space.
Use SD cards.
What's that?
SD cards?
These don't have them, but a lot of times that's the other thing too. I didn't really touch on. I have most of the stuff on my Mac. Eventually, I have to I'd say every 3 or 4 months, I have an external drive that's like a terabyte, and I copy my artwork over there. Because if you're saving these things at 300 DPI, it will eat up your drive pretty fast if you have a lot on there.
So when you work on your phone and you want to set it to your computer, you're just emailing it to yourself?
Yeah, you can email it. The other thing you can do here, let's see here. We'll just take there's a picture of the drummer there. Oh wait, I'm in the wrong app. Let me go back. You can just go into, I don't know if they all do this, but I have an iPhone and I have a Mac, so they're compatible. You know, I can be like, okay, I don't like that car picture. Where's my other car picture? Maybe I want to share Big Eyes here. So I can just go down in the bottom here, share, airdrop. On the phone here, it's funny, you only hear pictures showing it, but on the phone, there's my computer. It sees it. I hit that. I get a beep, beep, beep over here. I hit accept. Now that picture's on the computer. So it's kind of slick when it works. If it doesn't work, yeah, I just email it to myself, or use like a thumb drive. You can put them on there and copy them over. Yeah, if you don't have all Apple, you might have to email it to yourself. Although I think like Android phones and PCs do the same kind of thing. But once you have it over there. Let's see here. Where's the cable? Oh, here we are. We'll go back over to the computer here. See if it comes back. Come on back. We'll bring her up here. There she is. I'm on the screen that you can't see. I'm going to tell it to open it with Adobe Photoshop. And then once Photoshop opens, I'll drag it up here so you can see. Photoshop still takes a little while to open. I guess they're proud of themselves. You get to see everybody's name who made it or whatever. But, so there she is. She was pretty mad when I touched that wallpaper. But I might go in there. I wish I could share this screen. I can go in and do different adjustments on here too. Hopefully you'll actually see okay, yeah, see there's brightness. Let me get my mouse up here. You can go in here and tweak everything. There you go. Well, she looks a little spooky now. I made her a little darker. This is when the Frick closes at night. This is what happens. Gets a little wild in there, We hit OK. But yeah, see, it's not showing, but I'm at the top of the screen now going into the different tools. So the other one I like to go into is levels. See, oh yeah, see, here's your levels. Can't see my mouse. But you can see I messed it up. You have that mountain that's kind of all off to one side.
Histogram.
Yeah, the histogram. And if I could see my mouse, where are you? Oh, there it is. So I might take this and, looks better that way. I'm kind of dragging it around in the histogram. So, this was when I was saying you have to make your final adjustments. So that, I'm not saying this is a fine piece of art that I'm going to print or anything, but who knows? The way things are now, that might sell. You don't know what's going to sell or not.
That could be your thing, just take all these famous paintings.
Take famous paintings, give them all Google eyes or something. There's a guy out there, he goes to thrift stores and buys old hotel art, and then he'll put dragons or Star Wars in it, and he's really popular. Yeah, and then so right now I'm going in under image, go image adjustments. Yeah, I wish I could share this screen up there and see what I'm doing. But there, there's just all kinds of stuff. There's photo filters in here. There's vibrance. Everything I was showing you on the phone, you can do on here. And then ultimately, when you're done, I guess I should change the size. So one of the things under image, it's a drop down image size. Oh sure, it left it on this screen. Okay, there we are. So most of the things you're gonna do, like it's 72, which would not get you far. So we're just gonna go in there and tell it we want 300. Now your preview, it's completely blown out because it's too big for the preview to see. Wow, 42 inches by 56. That's pretty darn big. But if you're gonna make a bug-eyed lady, you should make it as large as you can. Now I'm just going in here. I saved it at that size. I'm going to export it. Like, Deb, what do you like to export it at? Like, I mean, what do you want it to, what do you usually do? Do you do a JPEG? Do you do PNG? I usually do JPEG.
JPEG for printing and PNG for website.
Yeah, and there she is, see? I told her to export. She's looking good. She's really sharp. She's high res. We're gonna export her. There we go. Could name her if I could see. Maybe I can type in bug eyes. There she is. Save. So I mean, it's a lot of fun. I mean, and again, it's like, I'm not going to do anything with that. But there she is in preview. It's too big. But now that would be, if I wanted to, I don't know why I would want to do that, but if I wanted to ship that out and get it printed, I could. It's ready to go. I probably should use the truck as the example.
So nothing that comes off the phone is good enough to print on this metal stuff. You have to go to the 300 on your laptop, correct?
Yeah, you at least, I've had stuff in the one app there that it's almost big enough, but yeah, ideally you're going to go on here, even if you just to open it and make sure, if it's saved larger on the phone, it'll show up when I tell it, when I look at it in Photoshop. Like I opened that up, it was 72. Most of them it's just going to spit out at 72. So I mean that's probably like, that's the big thing. And she's taking a long time to save. My computer's probably like, why are you saving this thing?
So when you save the image to send it to get printed on the metal, are you saving it at the size that you want that to be?
Yeah.
I mean, from 12 by 16, whatever.
Yeah, I had a weird size in there, but yeah, 12 by 16, 24 by 36, whatever you were gonna, when you're exporting it in Photoshop, you would put those parameters in. Like you put your size, and then it's kind of cool because there's a little checkbox. So if I say 20 by, it'll put it like it automatically makes it the right size. If I want it to be 20 inches wide or whatever, it makes sure the height's right.
So, can you pick any size, or do you have to go with whatever size the metal comes in when you get it printed? Or the canvas, or whatever?
Yeah, you kind of have to go with what's available.
So you couldn't do a square, a square piece of...
What they'll do, like they have their size, they might crop part of yours off to make it fit.
And the different companies have offers of this size.
I see.
So sometimes that'll be what he decides who he's going to print when he wants a certain size.
A lot of times, like we'll look at that first. Like, okay, Costco, I can do, or Walgreens is on sale if I do 16 by 20. So I'll go in there and be like, okay, I'm going to make this 16 by 20. And again, it's like, it's that piece, and you're saving it digitally at the high res. You can play around later if you want to try and make a larger one.
And depending on what you're doing, if it's an abstract or, something, you can warp it too. So you can push it into the size you want the canvas to be. So, they'll have some where there'll be a 24 by 36 size, but then he can also turn it to a 20 by 30, and he can either crop it to be that size, or he can warp it or morph it into the size. So
Oh, and one quick tip too, if you do like the Walgreens or something, every month they have coupons online. If you just type Walgreens.com, like 50% off canvas, or you can get some of these things for like $13 or depending on.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be super expensive to do it. And again, you might try a smaller size first. Hey, I dig this. I'm going to make this bigger.
Did you ever try Vistaprint?
We haven't done metal.
No, we haven't done that. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. Like I know, like Dwayne goes up to the south side somewhere, and I think he spends more money, but he goes to some printer up there, and they just.
He prints something through Colorado too, like some that's there.
So when you save as a JPEG, now don't JPEGs degrade every time you work with them, or is that not something you have to worry about? Or maybe I'm confused, I don't know that much about it.
If you save it at the 300 DPI, and he keeps all his original Photoshop files too.
Okay.
So if he does anything else and he's going to edit, he goes back to the original Photoshop file and
Yeah.
change on that, and then just re-exports it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't necessarily I don't open that JPEG. I'll go back to my Photoshop where I have it stored in there, like as a project.
Yeah, and I mean, PNG is a good thing to save too, because it allows you to enlarge and expand. That one you wouldn't get the degrading on it. But
Here's the giant pumpkin truck.
when you're uploading.
I didn't film this. This was Deb. I was being a good guy driving, but.
When you're submitting to an online show, do you use a PNG?
It all depends on what they ask.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll tell you what they want.
And
But-
the size.
Yeah, I think it's really helpful. I mean, there's all kinds of, we really noticed it during the pandemic, but a lot of them kept doing it. You can enter shows anywhere. If you have a digital piece, you just email it in.
You probably have to make sure that it's a legit place.
Yeah.
I get these emails from some gallery somewhere and claims it's a gallery, but I think it's just a way for them to get artists to give them money. He probably does.
Oh yeah, don't you hate that? I get, because I have a website, and it's got the contact us. It's like, I really like your work. Send me send me more money and I'll give you the change back. Or it's like.
Well, that's why we like Camelback, because we know people who have actually been to Camelback Gallery.
Yeah, there is actually a Camelback Gallery.
Yeah. So.
Where is it?
California.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was in Phoenix.
Yeah, I haven't, Arizona or somewhere.
No, it's just
Yeah.
it's an art show kind of thing.
Let's see. Here you go. So here's my painting there. We were practicing with the band the other night, and I had my band light shining on it, like our light set. And it really made that painting look. Deb and I were mesmerized while we were practicing, staring at this thing. We're like, wow, it really pops, But that's another thing. I've done a little bit. I didn't bring that piece with me tonight. Oh, I should wrap it up, huh? Wrap it up. The only other thing that I've been trying lately is video, like taking a bunch of these digital images and having them kind of warp into each other. Because I see more and more like this will be sitting at a gallery somewhere with like, digital art. Like people are going that direction with it too, almost taking it into video. But. Yeah, that's all I have there. There's most of my photos there. But yeah, thank you so much for having me and letting me talk to you about all this. Appreciate it.
A closing song?
I didn't bring the guitar. Good night.